Today is an epic new amp day because we are going to be checking out my Driftwood Purple Nightmare. So this amp right behind me, that one there that you can see, that has been on my bucket list for amplifiers for a long time. I have played them a bunch at NAMM over the years. I fell in love with it years ago when I played it at NAMM the first time. It's very much an American kind of voiced amp, but with their own tweaks and modifications. It almost feels like the best of like a Rev G dual rec mixed with like a block letter 5150 or something like that. It's got that big clean low end, but without it feeling kind of like a flat tire. It's got that top end kind of sizzle and crackle to it, but not so much that it's hissy. And it also has a bit of that nice scoop that a dual rectifier has, but particularly in that low mid range around like 400-ish hertz, where it's kind of wooden and honky sounding and you don't want that anyway. But then the mid range on it is way more usable than something on a dual rec. You can really push that like you can on a 5150, get that extra cut and definition, and really makes it just sit well and be more aggressive, but very much in that way that reminds me of kind of a 5150. And I ended up setting this amplifier as well as the Purple Nightmare preamp that I've demoed in the past, basically the same. And just like I like to set 5150 is kind of, you know, pushing the bass, mid, and treble just a hair, just past noon, just a little bit. And that seems to be the sweet spot, both on, again, 5150 style amps that I like and this amplifier. So I'm going to try and be as concise as possible with all the different features on this. That way we can quickly get to the out of mix and just play with some of the knobs and switches on it. This is a 100-watt all-tube amplifier. It has 6L6 power tubes. It is definitely extremely heavy. The transformer in this thing is massive. This is a beefy amp for sure. Actually reminds me of the weight of an old block letter. This is a 2-channel amplifier. You have the clean channel, and then you also have the burn channel, which is the high gain channel, and the same channel that's featured on the Purple Nightmare preamp. And I do plan on comparing that preamp pedal to the actual amp it's based on in future, just to see how close they get. But I can already tell you, I set them them basically identically, and they definitely were able to capture the preamp of this burn channel in that preamplifier. I was pretty impressed with it. Now, each channel does feature a volume, gain, bass, middle, and treble controls, and then on the clean channel specifically, it does have a mode switch, and that mode switch kind of just makes it, at least in my opinion, a little bit more glassy. I tend to not like it on that one as much, but I could definitely see a use for it. It's not like it sounds bad at all. I just tend to prefer the sweeter sound of it with it off, and this does have a very pristine, very clean channel. It doesn't really break up much, even with higher output humbuckers, unless you really push that gain. And then on the burn channel, you do have a high and low gain switch, and even on the low gain, if you were to really push that gain, you're going to get more gain than you'd probably ever need. This thing has tons and tons of gain on tap. You can even get into more fuzzy territory with it. Now, they do have a tube screamer built right into the amplifier that was tailored for this. It's something that's also in the preamp that I showed off in that preamp video. It sounds absolutely awesome going into this burn channel, but you can actually also use it on the clean channel if you're wanting to get some push clean tones or something with a little bit of extra crunch. There also is a 2-watt mode on this. That way you can play a lot quieter if you want. That's switchable on the back. I'm not really going to mess with that. It's quieter. It's nothing I'm really going to go into here. I just kind of want to go over the main features of the amplifier that are on the front. There also is a noise gate that you can control the threshold of on the back. It's a pretty good noise gate. It's what you're going to hear with all of the high gain tones for the out of mix. I'm going to have that just on. I have it set to a spot where I like it, just under noon. It's very responsive. It never feels like it steps on my playing, and it really does clamp down well. So it's a well-made noise gate. Now, there are 2 different master controls, and you can basically set one of them to have more or less volume, so you can switch between the two, say in a live situation, if you need like a volume boost for a solo or something like that. That's what that would be good for. The second master also doesn't have the noise gate on it, so if you want the noise gate on one but not the other, that's when you can set that up. And something that's nice about having master volumes as well as volume controls for individual channels, you can set up each individual channel to match volume wise, but also you can get those master controls, and this is what I did, in the sweet spot to where you're getting a lot of warmth and fullness and driving the amp nicely, but you can also control the volume on each channel so that you're not absolutely blasting insanely high volumes. And that does lead us to the controls for the power section. So you're going to have rumble and sharp, which are essentially resonance and presence. So how much kind of fullness you have on the low end and how much kind of top end sheen that you're going to have, how present it is. But then you also have something really nice. It's the sizzle switch. So in the center, it's essentially not really doing anything. And then to the left, you get a bit more top end kind of saturation and sizzle. And then over to the right, you're going to get way more. It's like the maximum amount. And what's actually really cool about this switch is some amps you kind of have to adjust whether you're going between active pickups and passive pickups. Active pickups tend to be not just hotter, but also brighter, more cutting, pushing more mid-range, and a lot tighter. And passive pickups that are at least high output tend to be a lot fatter because of the winds on them, as well as a bit darker. They're not going to have nearly as much top end or cut as something like an active pickup. And so normally you kind of have to tweak the amps and mess with them to get them to sound right with one pickup type or another, at least in my experience for a lot of amplifiers. But what's nice is if I'm playing with passive pickups like I was for the in and out of mix for this, I'll just go over to the highest sizzle setting and all of a sudden I just have all that nice top end, pick attack, clarity, everything I wanted. And then when I'm playing with, say, my Fishman Fluence Moderns that are already very bright, very cutting, I can just turn that down to the second sizzle setting that's not quite as bright, but still have basically the exact same sound of the amp. For me, it's almost like using it like an active or passive switch. Your mileage may vary with that, but that's how I really like to use this. The amp is MIDI controllable as well. I'm going to be controlling it with the Purple Nightmare foot switch, and you'll see that on screen stuff will just change between channels. The tube screamer will go on and off. I could also control which master I'm using at the time. If I have the loop on and off, it also has a mute control on it. So pretty handy and versatile foot switch. It's also made like a tank. The thing feels like it could survive a nuclear war. So that mostly does it for the features. There's a couple of other little things here and there, but these are the broad big features that we're going to be focusing on. So for the in mix and out of mix, I'm going to have the same exact setup. I'm going to be plugging directly into this with my Heathen Guitar Works Gungnir guitar, and I do have that loaded with some Black Winter rail pickups from Seymour Duncan. And then the amplifier is going to be running directly into my Red 7 Amp Central Evo load box, which does have my favorite Karnivore IR in it. It's one of the Christian Cole ones. And so we're just going to kind of play with some knobs, go between all the channels, and see how this beast sounds. Let's check it out. Needless to say, I am in love with the amp. It was worth the wait after all these years, finally having one. It sounds so huge and just aggressive, and it has that old school kind of 90s rectifier-y 5150 thing while also being much more modern. It's kind of hard to explain. I mean, it's got that scoop where you want it to, but then it's got more bite and cut. It's got the sizzle without being fizzy. It's got the fullness without being fat or slow. It's just, it's everything I would have wanted like my old dual rectifier to be. It's just so good. And they really knocked it out for me too. They put this awesome purple maple front on it that is, I had them do it in matte because I figured with all the lights here that would be just super shiny and you'd have this like bright glare coming off of the back of my head, and I didn't want that. I wanted this beautiful purple to come up more on the channel. And I wanted that nice, deep, rich royal purple, and they absolutely crushed it. Just all in all, I'm impressed with the sound, the craftsmanship. They are Absolutely one of my favorite companies. I think the Heavy Hatchet is one of the best distortion pedals ever made. Their preamp pedal is absolutely phenomenal, and this amp is their flagship, and it deserves to be because it is so good. But I will have a link down below if you want to check out anything from Driftwood. I highly recommend it. Would love to know your thoughts on the amp. If you've tried this, own one, or own one of the other Driftwood products, would love to hear about it, or just your thoughts on the tones. But thanks for watching. Stay metal.